Welcome back everyone to another Weather at a Glance video. In today's forecast, we are going to be going over our official winter forecast for the winter season of 2021 to 2022, all coming up in just a bit. All right, in our first slide, we're taking a look at our precipitation outlook for the winter forecast of 2021 to 2022. And here in our first region, you can see that we are taking a look at that slightly below average precipitation. Now, this is going to be caused by that jet stream slipping north through here, up through California, and then coming back down, oftentimes down through the southeast and heading back north. So what this is going to do is it's going to lock kind of a high pressure region down here that is going to be providing warmer temperatures, not only warmer temperatures, but also for slightly below average precipitation because of the little precipitation activity due to that high pressure activity down here in the southwestern United States. So here you can see this is going to be consisting of southern California, southern Nevada, and as well as southwestern Utah into western Arizona. So not all of Arizona is going to be included with this as well because of that kind of subtropical jet that we will be seeing coming through occasionally. But this is going to be kind of leaving California, Nevada, and western Arizona kind of dry due to that below average precipitation activity that we are expecting to happen through the winter months. All right, now we're going to be taking a look at that slightly above average region here for the northwestern United States. And here you can see that this is going to be consisting anywhere from Washington through northwestern Montana all the way down through western Idaho and down in the northwestern Nevada into northern California, including all of Oregon as well. So this is going to be caused by that Pacific jet stream here coming off of the Pacific Ocean and coming into the northwestern United States. So this is going to be keeping these areas frequently wet and often snowy due to those cold temperatures. So we are going to be seeing a little bit of slightly above average snowfall as we went over in our snowfall forecast for 2021 to 2022. That is what's going to be going on here too. So we're going to be seeing a lot of snowfall coming through here. So anybody who does like snowfall, this is your region, and you definitely want to be focusing on that because you are going to be seeing a good bit of snowfall come through due to that Pacific jet stream that's going to be coming through the area, as well as those cold temperatures coming down from the polar jet stream as well. So both of those jet streams will be kind of providing a nice snow experience for all of you who like snow in the northwestern United States. All right, and in our final region on the precipitation outlook here is our slightly above average region here for the Great Lakes region and the northeastern United States. So here you can see the stretches from northeastern Minnesota down through Wisconsin, northeastern Illinois, northern Indiana, and the northern half of Ohio, including all of Pennsylvania, some portions of the mid-Atlantic as well, all the way down into Maryland, and this is going to be including all of the Northeast as well, so all of the Northeast, including Maine and New York as well. So anywhere up here, you can expect some slightly above average precipitation, and anytime in winter, y'all know what that means. That means above average snowfall. So we're looking at slightly above average snowfall here as well for this region. I'm not really too confident about above average snowfall, but I am pretty confident about slightly above average snowfall due to that jet stream activity. So we are going to see that jet stream activity kind of bring a good bit of snowfall to this region, to both of these regions, and that's really going to be providing you all with a lot of snowy experiences, a good bit of storms coming through as well with those low pressure systems. But that is why we are seeing that slightly above average activity here for precipitation, is because we're going to be seeing a lot of low pressure systems come through, coming down from the north here, developing over the north in Canada, and then it's going to be coming down through the areas here up into the northeastern United States and kind of providing you with that snowy experience. And oftentimes, we will see some ice as well, some ice activity, some freezing rain if the warm temperatures in the mid-levels of the atmosphere are warm enough, but that shouldn't be too much of a concern because we are going to see that cold activity from those Arctic blasts come down into these regions as well with those strong cold fronts, and that should provide you all with a nice snow experience as well as the northwestern United States. Both of you all kind of similar there, and you will be getting some of that snow experiences throughout the winter months coming around January. All right, now we're going to be taking a look at our temperature outlook for the winter forecast of 2021 to 2022. And here you can see that we are going to be taking a look at that slightly below average region here for the northwestern United States. Now, this is a bit more shallow than we saw in that precipitation region for the northwestern United States. But here, you'll be seeing some of that slightly below average temperature activity. No below average activity for any regions on here right now, but we are seeing a slightly below average. So not really noticeable, but there will be some different changes that will be causing some slightly below average temperatures. And that means with that slightly above average precipitation, slightly below average temperatures, that means increased snowfall. So as you can see here, we are going to see a bit of increased snowfall, slightly above average snowfall for this region due to those two combinations of weather factors. So the climate is definitely going to be in favor for snowfall for these regions here, and that will be something that a lot of you will be looking forward to in the upcoming winter months. In our next region, we're going to be going over the slightly below average region here for the Western Great Lakes region, as well as the Ohio Valley, into the northeastern United States here. Now here you can see this goes from all the way from the eastern half of the Dakotas all the way down into northeastern Nebraska, northeastern Missouri, and down into Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio, all the way through the northeastern United States. So here you can see we're going to be seeing a lot of that slightly below average temperature activity. This means nothing too noticeable, but you will be seeing a bit of cooler temperatures come through when those cold fronts pass through. We are going to see a lot of strong cold fronts come through down into this region due to those Arctic fronts. So that is really, we're going to see a lot of cold air masses, very strong cold air masses, and that's what's going to be causing those cold fronts, very strong cold fronts that will be coming through. And once those interact with that warm, moist air, you'll be seeing a lot of snowfall and a lot of storms come through this area, and that's going to be fueling those type of systems that y'all love in the wintertime, and that's going to be giving you that nice juicy snowfall that everyone loves. So throughout these regions as well, as we talked about with slightly above average precipitation, you can see that this goes hand in hand, similar with the northwestern pattern there. We were seeing that now with the northwestern United States with all that slightly above average snowfall. That's going to be happening here as well in the western Great Lakes, in the Great Lakes themselves, and down in the Ohio Valley and northeastern United States. So if everyone here loves snowfall, that's going to be perfect for y'all, because we're going to be seeing a lot of nice snowfall come through the region this winter. All right, now moving on to the slightly above average regions here. And in our first slightly above average region here, which is in the southwestern United States, this is a bit larger than our precipitation outlook, where we had that slightly below average precipitation region there. And here you can see this goes for a good bit of the southwestern United States. So this is going to be stretching from Southern California, southwestern Nevada, all the way down through the entire state of Arizona, into western New Mexico, into western Texas, far western Texas, all the way through southwestern Colorado, into southern Utah as well. So this is going to be stretching throughout here. That is going to be caused by the jet stream coming up through these regions, and as we said, it's going to be keeping those areas kind of dry. It's going to be keeping those areas from getting any precipitation at all, except for those times when we see that subtropical jet stream kind of come through. But at this time, at this late time in the year, we're not really going to see too much of that occurring, so that's going to keep these areas relatively dry, as we were talking about. So as you can see, our jet stream is going to come through here. A lot of areas through here are going to be getting a lot of active weather patterns, but this jet stream is going to be keeping the areas up in the north cooler, and the reason this area right here, this region, is not in that slightly below average region is simply because the jet stream can come up kind of far and bring those warm temperatures up north, so that's why we have that there. But continue on to the fact that this is going to be keeping these southwestern areas slightly warmer. So when you usually have those 70-degree temperatures in the wintertime, you might be seeing 80 to even 90 degrees at times. So not too much of a general highly increase, but we are going to be seeing some of those 80-degree temperatures even at times up in the 90s come in during the daytime, and that could be causing some of that slightly above average temperature that you all will be kind of experiencing. So that will be a little more noticeable, but not really too noticeable to kind of put an above average region there for temperatures. All right, moving on to our final region here on our temperature outlook. This is the same thing as the southwestern United States here, and we're going to be seeing that slightly above average temperature activity coming through the southeastern United States. So here you can see that this is going to be stretching from southern South Carolina through the southern half of Georgia, down through southern Alabama, and through the southeastern half of Mississippi. And this is going to be including southern Louisiana as well, into some portions of Texas. But then we come through the entire state of Florida, and this is what this is going to be caused by something we like to call the southeast ridge. Now, in typical La Nina patterns, we do see that southeast ridge become kind of active. So what that is, the southeast ridge is a high pressure system located out here, somewhere out down off of the coast of Florida, somewhere out here in this little indent here in the southeastern Atlantic coast. So what you can expect here is that's going to be wrapping some of this warm air. It's going to come around the high pressure system, come up through these regions here, and then it's going to be coming back out, not being able to go north because of that jet stream pattern. So here you can see that we do have this high pressure system that's going to be kind of locking in that warm, drier air. So a little bit less precipitation here, and as well as warmer temperatures. So that's going to be causing a slight decrease in snowfall because of those conditions. Kind of like last year, similar to last year, we saw that decrease in snowfall. So that's going to be similar for these regions too. So anywhere within these regions, you can expect a slightly decrease in snowfall this winter, especially down to Florida. That rarely ever happens, but into these near the mountainous regions up here in the northern Alabama, these regions can also be affected and kind of expect less snowfall than they usually have each year. All right, now we're going to be moving on to our official overall winter forecast map for the winter season of 2021 to 2022. And here on our first region, as always, we start up in the northwestern United States. And here for our first region, we have that cold and snowy region. So for these conditions, you guessed it, with that slightly above average precipitation and slightly below average temperature activity, for these regions, you're going to be expecting a lot of nice snowfall, and usually these areas typically get a lot of snowfall, but instead of that usual about anywhere from 50 to 70 inches that we usually expect for the entire season, we could be seeing up to anywhere from 60 to 80 inches possible. Now on our snowfall forecast, you'll see we mark that off at 70 inches because we usually say 70 inches plus. We don't go higher than that. But for these regions, you can expect that kind of 80-inch benchmark too. So you can expect up to 80 inches in some of these regions as well, especially in those mountainous regions up in Oregon. So do keep in mind that up in Washington and Oregon, you can expect some of those snowy conditions often as that polar jet stream comes down, meeting with the Pacific jet stream, creating that nice interaction that's going to be creating snowfall. So do expect that. There is going to be a lot of snowy activity up there this winter. All right, moving on to our next region, which we have in every winter forecast. This is the same region as always because this region always gets mountainous snow. So this is going to be stretching from northern Washington up to these mountainous regions all the way down throughout the northwestern United States, all the way down to the southwestern United States, and into some of the central portions of the United States, down to Colorado, and even into New Mexico, we're going to be seeing some of that mountain snowfall too. So these regions always get mountain snowfall throughout the winter, no matter what, because of their high altitude, up to 16,000 feet sometimes. So do keep that in mind. If you live in these regions, you can expect a lot of snowfall throughout the region, up to 70 inches plus, of course, even up to 90 to 100 inches in some of those really high, tall peaks that nobody really ever goes up to. Now, something you have to keep in mind is within this region, there are going to be valleys. There are going to be regular towns in kind of plain style areas, but generally these areas are covered by mountains. So if you do live in the valleys, that could affect your snowfall totals. So do keep in mind that we can't draw out those tiny little valleys from this region. We have to include them all because of the size of the map. So do keep in mind that if you don't get mountain snow and you kind of don't really get any snowfall at all this year due to the type of landscape that you live in, do keep in mind that that is simply because we can't include those really small regions out of the map. So this is just a general area of mountain areas that can expect that mountain snowfall effect throughout the winter. All right, now we're going to be taking a look at that Arctic blast region. Now, this is the largest region on our forecast map, and here you can see this is where those very strong cold fronts are going to be coming through. Now, the winter cold fronts can stretch all the way farther south than the summer cold fronts because that warmer air is weaker and it's farther south than it would be during the summer months. So here you can see all the way down into Kansas, we can expect those very strong Arctic fronts to come through. So this region here is going to be experiencing a lot of very cold air coming through. So we could see temperatures down into the negatives within here. Now, a lot of the times these areas are covered by drier air. If you live in the eastern half of this region, then you get that warm air advecting up from the Gulf. But over here in the western areas, you have that drier air because the Gulf advection of warm air does not affect you over here as much. So also, drier air often gets colder very fast than warm air does because warm, moist air locks in that warmth. So we do see that over here, you will be getting a lot of colder activity as well. So in Montana, there will be some very, very, very cold conditions coming through. And the reason I amplified that so much is because to most of us in the United States, the negatives are very cold temperatures. So when you get down to 1 degrees Fahrenheit and down to maybe even -5 degrees Fahrenheit, that is cold for many of us. So that's why we're amplifying that so much, because there's going to be a lot of that cold air coming down throughout the winter months. Nothing that should be considered dangerous, but we definitely do see that cold air. So you will want to be cranking up that heat this winter if you live in this region, because you definitely will be experiencing a lot of that cold air come through, and a good bit of snowfall as well. Do keep that in mind, because there's enough warm, moist air, or moist air, we should say, in these regions from the Gulf of Mexico. Then you're going to be seeing a lot of that snowfall come through as well once those cold fronts are able to stir up that convection with that very cold air that comes through with those Arctic fronts. So keep that in mind as well. This will be a snowy region as well. But the main factor is going to be that really cold air that we see throughout the winter months. All right, now we're going to be looking at our snowy at times region. So this is very self-explanatory here. We're going to be seeing a good bit of snowfall come through here as well, all the way down to possibly San Francisco as well. So I know that seems a bit of a crazy idea, but we're not going to see crazy amounts of snowfall, no accumulation expected for the San Francisco area, but we will see some flurries this winter, I'm sure, for San Francisco, cutting it off at San Francisco for sure, and in a portion of these mountainous regions as well, where there's not as high peaks. we will be seeing those snowy at time region as well. So this is basically meaning that at times you could be seeing some regular rainfall because of the warm conditions that are here within these regions. But there's also going to be a good bit of snowfall that comes through these regions as well. So this includes Northern California, Northern Nevada, Western Utah, and some portions of Utah down within the mountainous snow region that we see here just southeast of Salt Lake City. And then we see Salt Lake City included up here with this as well. And then we see up here into southwestern Montana and through some portions of central Idaho as well, down to the southeastern Oregon area. So there's a lot of states that this region covers, so you do have to keep that in mind, that there's going to be a lot of diverse weather conditions throughout these regions as well, but generally you all will be experiencing the same thing, and snowy at times. You will be expecting some of those snowy conditions at times, not as much as some of the other regions that we've covered, but you will be seeing some of that snowfall. So if you do like snowfall, do look forward to that, because at times you could be seeing some of those low pressure systems bring that snowfall in throughout this region. All right, now in our next region, we're taking a look at this region that covers pretty much the entire southern United States. This goes from the southwestern United States all the way to the southeastern United States, and this is our mostly warm region. So as you guessed, these areas won't be getting too much precipitation as well, but they will be staying mostly warm. So do expect some warmer conditions. You won't be seeing much snowfall at all within these regions. Your winter is going to be consisting of very mild weather. So very mild weather throughout the winter, little precipitation, and this is going to be creating some of those 60-degree temperature weather type conditions that you all love in the winter. So if you are a snowfall lover, this is not necessarily the region you want to be in, but don't get discouraged, because some of these areas can still see snowfall as well at some time throughout the winter. But as you can see here, we are going to be expecting some of those 60 to 70 degree temperatures depending on the region that you are. In these areas over here in the southeastern United States, where some of that colder air can get brought down even further, that will be limited down to 50 to 60 degree weather down here, reaching 70 occasionally at times depending on the type of warm front that you experience. But over here in the Texas all the way through the southwestern United States, you can expect some of those 60 to 70 degree temperatures come through, so that will be nice weather. Now if you live in some of the northern areas up here in the northern regions where some of that colder, drier air can reach down, that also will be affecting you as well, especially if you're on a mountaintop. But you do generally see warmer temperatures come down through these areas, especially in this La Nina type event here. So we will be expecting some of those warmer temperatures to kind of keep the south warm and dry. All right, now moving on to one of our most iconic regions in the winter forecast is the Southeast Ridge region here. So this is going to be stretching from southern South Carolina through southern Georgia, all the way through southern Alabama, and down through southeastern Mississippi, down into eastern Louisiana. So as you can see here, this is going to be including all of Florida as well. So Florida is generally used to these conditions in the early winter months. Now, in the later winter months, we start to see that subtropical jet stream start to kind of bring up the storms and create an active storm pattern down there in Florida. But this season, I believe it will be kind of halted due to the general dry conditions down there that will be keeping much of the southeast dry. So here with the Southeast Ridge, we are going to be seeing a lot of those warm temperatures come through, but this is generally going to be keeping it dry. Now, do understand that the Gulf moisture is not going to be decreased by this as well. There is going to be a good bit of Gulf moisture because much of this area is covered by mass amounts of water. So there is going to still be that warm, moist air throughout the southeast that will be causing some pop-up convection, which we call storm cells themselves. So they aren't going to be mass storm systems, a cold front bringing a line of storms coming through, but we will see those drier conditions come through, slightly below average precipitation, and you can expect to see drier conditions throughout this region. So warmer, drier conditions throughout this region. There will still be rainfall at times. It's not going to be no rainfall at all, but generally drier conditions throughout the winter months. All right, in our next region, we're taking a look at that active jet stream region here. So this means that you are going to be getting kind of a flip-flop kind of region, but with a lot of active weather. So this means that your weather is not going to really stay consistent. You're going to have a good bit of precipitation here in Oklahoma, Texas. This is northern Texas, the Texas Panhandle, northeastern New Mexico, into some parts of Colorado, and then northern Arkansas, northwestern Mississippi, western Tennessee, and southern Missouri as well, into southeastern Kansas. So these regions here are all going to be affected by that jet stream pattern. So as you can see, the jet stream is going to pass right through this region, and it's going to be affecting its neighboring region as well, which we will get into here next. But as you can see here, we are going to be seeing that jet stream come down and kind of come through these regions as well, bringing an active weather pattern for here. So you are going to be seeing a good bit of precipitation as well throughout these regions. And if the cold air persists, you could be seeing some winter storms throughout this region as well. So this is kind of the lowest we are going to see those winter storms. So the winter storms kind of get cut off at this region. So for those of you who live down in Texas, don't expect anything too much like we saw last year. Last year was a very historic event with that deep south freeze and that snowstorm. We aren't expecting that this winter, but we could see some flurries down here in Texas. But generally, this is going to be the cutoff region here in the active jet stream pattern, where you're not going to be seeing any winter storms really southward of this region. So in this region, you can be expecting some warm conditions at times, some cold conditions at times, down into some of those deep freezes that we see, and then throughout the winter months, you can expect some of that snowfall to come through as well. All right, in our next region, we're taking a look at that winter battle zone, which is iconic. As all of you know, we usually see this in every winter forecast because there's always going to be somewhere where the winter weather battles itself. So we're going to be seeing something similar to the active jet stream pattern, but it's usually our iconic region because this is where the warm, moist air fights off the cold, dry air that comes down into these regions. So oftentimes there will be sleet, there will be icy conditions, and there will be snowfall at times as well. So do keep that in mind. So warm, moist air is going to try to evect from the south, up from the Gulf of Mexico and through the Atlantic as well. We will see that as well. So it's just going to be fighting off that warm, moist air that kind of lingers in the southeastern United States. And then to the north, we're going to have those very strong cold air conditions punch down from the north and from Canada, and that's going to be fighting this region right here. So you're going to be seeing a lot of that active weather patterns as we saw in the active jet stream, but here it's going to be a little more intense. Now, this will not be threatening, but we do see those type of intense weather patterns where we see icy conditions, snowy conditions, and then, of course, warm conditions where the weather is kind of fair and normal. So there is going to be a lot of unstable weather here, so it is going to be changing often, and it will kind of confuse a lot of people. So that's why in this region, weather is kind of flip-floppy. We understand that there is going to be a lot of warm conditions and a lot of cold conditions as well, and it's going to be often changing, so often flip-flopping within days of different weather conditions. So do keep that in mind if you live in this region. Weather will be kind of sketchy and flip-floppy in this region throughout the winter. All right, in our next region, we're taking a look at the Ohio Valley into some portions of the central United States, up into the Great Lakes region, and into the northeastern United States. This is our frequent storms region. Now, the reason we didn't put winter storms is because we are going to be seeing some precipitation patterns as well that bring along rain, sleet, and ice and snow throughout much of these regions. So throughout here, you're going to be seeing a lot of low pressure systems come through. That's what that means. So a lot of frequent low pressure systems, which we consider storms, and those are our storm makers that are going to be coming through the United States, and especially through this region. They're going to be coming down from the Arctic up through Canada, and then they're going to be coming down, swooping down through some of those areas, including Wisconsin, and then they're really going to undergo development under these regions, and then go up along the jet stream pattern up through the northeast. So this is going to be kind of our path of storms. So we're going to be seeing a lot of frequent low pressure systems come through, and that's where that snowy pattern is really going to be most significant throughout this winter, is up here in the northeast United States, including the Ohio Valley, as well as some portions of the central United States into Missouri. All right, and now we're going to be moving into another iconic region. This is our nor'easters region. So here in this region, you can be expecting many nor'easters throughout the winter months due to that jet stream pattern taking those low pressure systems up through the northeast. And once they become active along the northeastern coastline of the Atlantic coast, here you will be able to see a lot of that snowfall and nor'easter activity come through. So we're going to be seeing those low pressure systems coming out over Missouri and up here over the Great Lakes region, and those will be taken down through this winter storm pattern that we've been talking about, and then we're going to be taking it north, and with those special conditions of that southerly flow winds, we will definitely be seeing some nor'easter activity over here, depending on where the low pressure systems are taken, and we could see about into some of the teens, so maybe about 10 or so nor'easters this winter, depending on the type of conditions. We are expecting above average nor'easter activity, especially since of that high pressure system, that high pressure region, the southeast ridge down to the south that we saw this past hurricane season. A lot of those hurricanes tended to go up north and kind of take that track to the northeast instead of going into the Gulf and Atlantic regions. So I do believe that will be affecting the same type of conditions this year. We will be seeing a lot of those low pressure systems not being able to be forced to the south, and they are going to follow this trend up through the northeast. Now, they won't be coming off the Atlantic, but they will be following that same type of trend due to that southeast ridge that's down there, and that will be ultimately leading to increased nor'easter activity this winter season. All right, and moving on to our final region of the overall winter forecast, we see our lake effect region. So this is another iconic region here that we see every winter forecast. This is where you're going to be experiencing that lake effect snow. So we're going to be seeing some of this up through the northern parts of Michigan, and as well as eastern Michigan down here in the state itself, including some parts of Indiana. So that's going to be northwestern Indiana as well. And then we see our final region here through Ohio, northeastern Ohio, northwestern Pennsylvania, and all the way through the Great Lakes region of New York State. So here you can be expecting some of those snowy conditions, those lake effect snow conditions. And here we can see up to 80 to 90 inches of snowfall this year. Some areas reaching the occasional 100-inch benchmark due to some of those. If a winter storm comes through, we will see a bit of that lake effect snow more so. So any storm cell that comes through here that develops over the lake effect region could bring up to 4 inches of snowfall if it's strong enough. So when those low pressure systems come through, you will be able to see that cold front will bring a mass line of snowfall coming through these regions. In winter storms, once they come through this area, the snowfall will increase from the normal maybe about 5 or 6 inches that we see from those winter storms up to about 10 inches to 12 inches, up to maybe even a couple of feet depending on the region. So do keep in mind that these lake effect regions will be very active this winter throughout the winter months. All right, I want to thank you all so much for watching today's video. I would ask you consider subscribing for more U.S. forecasts free of charge, and I would ask you consider following the Weather at a Glance official Facebook page for more inside information and complimentary personal forecasts when you message me on my Facebook page. Again, I want to thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next video.